Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of Masters of the Universe Forge of Destiny number 4. This is the last in a 4-issue miniseries by Dark Horse Comics. It's written by Tim Seeley with art by Eddie Nunez, and it tells a story early in He-Man's career when there was a conflict with the technologically advanced nation of Anwat Gar, and it also gives us the origin of my man Cyclone, who we can see on the cover there. This issue is out right now, and you can get it at comic retailers. You could get it digitally at Comixology, and there will be a trade paperback that, according to Amazon, should be coming out in April. All right, so let's talk about the cover real quick here. This is by Eddie Nunez, the interior artist, and I don't normally care for the collage covers where it's just a bunch of different images thrown together. I normally like my covers to be like capturing a scene of some sort. But I gotta tell you, Eddie Nunez is probably one of the few guys who can pull it off on a consistent basis. Everything here is just exquisitely rendered and just tells a very clear story of, He-Man and Skeletor in combat here. We've got Teela and Hurricane, who is the ruler of Anwat Gar. And then, of course, we got my man Cyclone looking all badass. And it's just beautiful, well composed, just a great looking cover. And it goes without saying, of course, the interior art is equally well drawn. However, I will say I do think there were some issues with the storytelling in this final part. And before we get to my criticisms here, I just want to preface this by saying that I do recommend this miniseries, even if the ending's a little bumpy. It has been a great, great ride, and I think if you're a fan of Masters of the Universe, you do want to absolutely pick up this miniseries, either in individual issues or in trade. So overall, I'm going to say, of course, that 4 issues was too little to give a story this big. It does suffer from compression, and one of those big victims of that is my man Cyclone here. We have a lot of buildup. We give him an origin, and then unfortunately he has pretty much a cameo in this issue and barely gets to do anything at the end. So that's a little bit disappointing. And then there's some instances of weird storytelling. So for instance, in this scene, we established that He-Man and Skeletor are fighting. And yes, that is Skeletor. Once again, we've given him another form where he's this big hulking monster with a flaming head. But at least it looks cool here. But anyway, we've established that they're fighting in this room with a furnace, right? They're indoors, they're inside. But then we drop the background out for the rest of the fight. And then for some reason, we see He-Man on top of a roof outside without Skeletor with no explanation. I have no idea what happened here. Maybe He-Man asked Skeletor for a break or something. I'm not sure. Another bit of strangeness is that when Cyclone gets his armor and his powers, his arms and his legs are blue. They're supposed to be, of course, yellow. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it is on the cover. And it just looks really strange. I mean, when you combine his skin tone with his blue outfit, it's just too much blue. Another storytelling snafu is in this dramatic scene where Man-at-Arms and King Randor are running through the forest to the shore of a river where Man-at-Arms believes they're going to be ambushed. And he says that we're almost at the shore of the river. I'm not sure what's going to be there. And he's saying this while we can see the shore of the river. That's the river right there. Why can you not see that, Man-at-Arms? Do you need glasses? And the scene continues like that. Here's the guys who are supposed to be ambushing them when they reach the shore, and he's like, steady. They're at the shore. Why can no one see this? And there's a few places where the story zigged where I wish it would have zagged. One is the ending, which I felt was too much of a downer for a time period that, at least according to Revelation, was supposed to be a lighter, happier time in these characters' lives. I just don't think it really captured the He-Man-Teela relationship at the end very well. And so another thing that made me scratch my head is that we kept seeing Rotons being used by the warriors of Anwat Gar. And of course, Rotons are normally used by the villains, right? They're usually used by the minions of Skeletor. And in this comic, there is a bunch of exposition about how The good guys got their vehicles and their technology originally from a treaty with Anwar Gar, and I thought this was going to be the explanation of how the bad guys get their vehicles. Nothing like that happens here, so I'm not sure. Maybe that's a story that needs to be told in a future miniseries, or maybe Skeletor just goes back to Snake Mountain after this story and tells Triclops to go swipe some technology from Anwar Gar or something. I'm not sure. And one last bit of weirdness is that there's a couple of what appear to be inside jokes to Skeletor's origin as Keldor, which I didn't think really belonged in here. In Revelation, they go back to Skeletor's original origin, where he's this dude with a skull face from another dimension. Later origins have him as Keldor, who is this blue-skinned dude who's later said to be a Gar, who's Randor's half-brother. In the Masters Universe Classics line, there were bios that had him hallucinate his original origin, where he was a demon from another dimension, and, you know, he was really Keldor the entire time. And, you know, it's just really convoluted. And I know Tim Seeley knows the story of what they're going to be doing in Revolution, but I doubt that they would be doing something that convoluted in what little space they have. And I doubt that they would tease it in a comic that's not even a tie-in to Revolution. So I assume it's an inside joke. I think the more appropriate reference they could have done for Keldor would have been if Keldor had been an alias, a disguise that Skeletor used to try to trick the Gar. I think it also would have made a lot more sense story-wise. For some reason, he just shows up as he is, a skull-faced wizard, and makes a deal with Hurricane, who doesn't trust outsiders and hates magic. So my issues with the final part here, I think, diminish the experience to me, but they don't ruin it. I think this is still a good journey. This is still a story worth picking up. And it's just hard to put out a comic book where everything comes together and is perfect, right? That just happens so rarely. You know, I've read some stuff from the best creators in the industry this year, and the only series that even came close to doing that was Lord of the Jungle by Dan Jurgens, right? It's just very, very hard to get all your ducks in a row and put out the perfect comic, right? And so what we get is pretty darn good. And this is still one of the better American Masters of the Universe comics that's been put out in the history of this franchise. And speaking of Masters Universe comics, I can confirm that issue 71 of the Masters of the Universe comic magazine from the UK does contain the origin of Cyclone. I did go ahead and buy it. It's quite expensive, but the origin is really good. I do still plan to do a video on Cyclone's different origins, but it may be a little later in the year, closer to when the trade paperback comes out, because I've got a lot of other videos coming, including, of course, videos on Masters Universe Revolution. And as you can see around me, figure-wise, there has been a whole lot of Masters Universe stuff that's been shipping in recent weeks, including the new Masterverse figures that have the brand new packaging, which is amazing, right? Masterverse always had some really cool artwork on the side and the back, but now it's just 360 degrees of awesome, and I love this new packaging. And the current wave includes our first Revolution figures like Orko and Gwildor, and we at long last have our Sorceress Teela. All right, so that's it for right now on Masters of the Universe comics, but I'll let you guys know if I hear about any more that are coming, but I am absolutely looking forward to Revolution coming January 25th and all the figures that we've got coming next year. Still a very, very good time to be a Masters of the Universe fan. Like and subscribe for more videos, and until next time, good journey.